Why? I mean, I don't want to say waste $1,300, but then I mean another reason, because like I heard this might go to the Philippines. I mean, if that happens, the nav in the car would be total. You would have just wasted $1,300.
Yeah.
With this, there's nav systems for the Philippines. Hopefully Apple Maps can work there too. But then that way your nav is whatever.
I like this one much better because you can pretty much do everything on it, what's on your computer.
Yep. It just, for me, it just makes sense. I mean, I know some people, I mean, if it had nav, I wouldn't be mad at having nav. But if I was choosing my car, I can think of other things to spend $1,300 on. Like sometimes I just tell people, like if they have an old phone and maybe it's not compatible, I'm like, spend $700 on a new iPhone, and it's half the price of whatever the cost of the nav would be. But to each their own. That's none of my business. I'm not here to sell you anything, but it's just like, I know some people really want the wireless phone chargers. You have to plug in for CarPlay, so why would you spend $100 and like something for the wireless charger? And if you have a metal back or a pop socket, those don't even work. And that compartment shrinks half its size. So again, then you just wasted almost $200 on something you're never going to use. So again, this is why I'm not a good salesperson. I'll be like, oh, you don't need this, you don't need that. It's just like, I mean, I won't keep saying things people don't need, but there's just so many things that are just not a necessity.
Mercedes is gonna say, Scotty, you're not doing good, man.
I know, they're like, oh, you need to, you're supposed to get every option. I'm
You're
like,
killing
no.
us,
But
man.
you're the most important person in here, though, Mercedes, because you're the one that
You're the busiest man in the building.
So, no wonder you have that much hours of overtime.
Yes, and again, thankfully it's not hard work. But so we'll unplug now. Of course, when you unplug from here, of course it disconnects, and then we can actually move you back here, and you can actually that's.
Oh yeah, like the ML. The ML has that.
So you have a USB-C plug there, and that would just charge. Plus back here you have some plugs as well. So you can
this
charge.
one is just for charging.
Just for charging. This one's for charging and putting it up on screen. And then of course, technically you could fit the cord through here. I don't usually recommend having your phone out because it shouldn't be used in anyways. It's best to just throw it away or put it away. But we'll leave that up for now so you can charge. Now we do want to, oh, your Bluetooth's already set up. Now the only downside to using this CarPlay is when you're using Bluetooth, we can have both of your phones connected. When you use CarPlay, only the phone plugged in is connected. I mean, it's a really little problem, but just know that both phones won't ring through the car if you have.
So
Bluetooth is off, then it would not. Like if it's Bluetooth, it would
So if it's
not.
off, it won't connect to the
it
car.
won't connect to the car.
Yeah,
It's
unless
like
you're
one
plugged
of
in
them.
here using CarPlay, then it would go through the CarPlay system. And then in settings, I was just going to make sure when you lock your car, do you like to hear a noise or do you prefer it good? So that is your acoustic lock, so that's already on for us.
Yeah, that way I can hear.
Perfect. And then the clock right now, it's set for AM, PM. Would you prefer AM, PM or 24-hour time?
AM, PM.
Perfect. And that's automatic, so that's going to adjust for you. So you won't have to adjust it. Get out of there. And of course, your Mercedes Me, really nothing useful in there. I mean, your Mercedes Me tells you what account you're attached to. Smartphone is if your CarPlay wasn't coming up automatically. You may have to select it there.
Can you access your maintenance manual?
So your owner's manual is going to be under Info.
Okay.
And you have a digital operator's manual. Of course, you still get a paper manual, but you do have access to a digital one in here as well. Also in here is your vehicle data, the wheel degree turn, percentage of acceleration, deceleration, your horsepower, foot-pounds of torque, battery level. Way more info than most of us really need on a car. And then, of course, your consumption. Right now, of course, we're not driving, so it thinks we're getting really bad fuel economy because we're not moving. Once you start driving, that number will come up, of course. Seat kinetics, one of my favorite things for road tripping is our seat kinetics. So when you turn that on, you're going to feel your seat adjust a little bit about every 20 seconds. It just forces you to wiggle a little bit, which helps keep you more alert on those longer trips. Eventually, we're going to feel our back move here in a second. There it went. It just slightly moves, just forces a little wiggle in us. But of course, you don't have to use it, but great for those longer trips. And then also, of course, media. This is where you can Bluetooth stream your music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Spotify, if you weren't planning on doing it through CarPlay. But the nice part about CarPlay is you'd visually have it on screen for you. And then, of course, radio. Of course, you have FM and AM. Easiest way to change the station. Is there a station you might listen to normally?
Yeah, 106.1 is it?
The KISS 106.1?
Kiss
Kiss,
105,
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, Mercedes,
How can I help?
change the channel to 106.1. And she just does it. And then, of course, maybe we like the station, so we'll save it. And now it's in there. But now maybe we hate that station, so I can push and hold. And I could delete it out, too, instead of just overriding it like the older cars.
Oh,
Now, what I like here, so we have an FM there, but maybe my second favorite station's an AM. I can save it on that same list. So FM, AM, doesn't
Okay.
matter what order. Because like I know on the older cars, you had 10 FM, 10 AM.
what's that channel for the Como News?
Como 1000. No, yeah, Como 1000. I'm pretty sure. I'll do the. I guess I could have talked to her. Of course, we're inside the building, so it's not great
Yeah.
signal. But I do believe it's
Yes,
Como
save.
1000. But
Cool.
that way you're in there too. And of course, you could always just ask for it as well. And of course, we have your phone that's already connected up there. Now, climate control, I highly recommend being in, we'll power more on. I do recommend being in auto. You have your driver temp and your passenger temp. And of course, I could do, hey, Mercedes,
How may I help you?
I feel hot.
I'm reducing the temperature on the front passenger side to 70 degrees.
So she lowers us by 2 degrees because I said I was hot. Or if I said I feel cold, she'll bump me up 2 degrees. Or, hey, Mercedes,
How can I help?
set the temperature to 74.
I'm setting the temperature on the front passenger side to 74 degrees.
So she knew it was passenger side because she heard me through this microphone. But if the driver requested it, she would do it on that side.
Oh.
Or I could clarify, no matter what side I was on, I could say set the driver's side temperature to 74. And she would do that side. But of course, you still have all your physical buttons. But nowadays, it's just easier. Just ask her, hey, Mercedes,
How may I help you?
turn on defrost.
Okay,
And she'll even
I'm
do the
switching
defrost
on the
for us.
defrosting function.
Hey, Mercedes. Hey, Mercedes,
How can I help?
turn off defrost.
Okay,
she
I'm
goes back to
switching
where we
off
were
the defrosting function.
So, I mean, not that you have to talk to her, because there is still the defrost key. But like I said, the more you practice with her, she's just going to get better.
Oh, this one, it will help you because we had our email for 3 years and she didn't know
And the
what
voice
was.
control was awful. I mean, it wasn't awful for the time. But now with these new ones, and especially because we have our phones that do so well too. So then people are like, oh, my whatever car, it was awful voice control. I'm like, well, I mean, yes, it's not great, but it's not that bad. It's just the new stuff is better. So you can't really judge the 10-year-old car based off of the new stuff. But
Yeah.
it definitely is better. And of course, being 2 microphones instead of like one centrally mounted, you can actually just talk more casually, not like at your rearview mirror. Just lots of helpful ways with her. Glove compartment, I always point out there's a little shelf up here. Great for pens and pencils and stuff, so that way it's not stored in the bottom of your compartment there. Plus another neat little thing in here, actually I just noticed it, is there's a tab over here. So if you did spill something in there, you can clean this up.
Cool.
Of course, it just little things. And I'm actually pretty sure, well, that one there's no liner, so that one you don't want to spill up there. But thankfully, you probably wouldn't spill up there. It's there, and of course, your vents vertical, they're closed. Horizontal, they're open, and they're super aimable, so that way you don't have to worry about that too much. And they're much more durable than our former generations. Your mirror, of course, is all mirror. There's no border anymore. That's how you know you're in a 21. If you had a 20 GLB, there'd be a little bit of a border. So you get to judge all those 20 GLBs that have gross mirrors with borders and things. And then, of course, you do have garage door openers on the bottom. That's actually a really rare option on these cars. So you could program those if needed. That does have to be.
How do we program?
So you do have to do it at home because of rolling codes. So my suggestion, your owner's manual does explain it. It's not that readable.
Okay.
If you've ever used YouTube, type in Mercedes Benz garage door opener. The second or third one down is produced by Mercedes Benz USA.
Okay.
It's 3 minutes and 22 seconds long, explains it from start to finish. In a nutshell, there's a step here with your actual clicker, a step on the back of the garage door motor, and then one more step here. One thing I do like they change about the mirror is when you push the buttons, the colored light is very visible. Like on your ML, if you had it, it was like a tiny little light, and you had to know how much it was flashing. This one, there's a yellow, red, and a green light, so you know if it's good, bad, or thinking. So
Okay.
it does a much better job than the former
It's
mirrors.
the same right, like one garage and then the other side.
So I like to if you only have two, I like to do one here and one here.
Yeah.
So many, I mean, we could argue all day about it, but some like it in 1 and 2. Some they like in whatever order, or like this garage on that side, this garage that side, or and then some people, if they have 3, they program all 3, and I'm like, do you really use all 3? Because it's not hard to program them, but it would seem like a hassle to program all 3 of them. But
Yeah.
to each their own.
Yeah.
And then of course your manual sunroof control is up here. A great thing about all your glass actually is it does have UV protection in it. And then of course with your tinted windows there's even more protection. So you're less likely to have skin or tanning concerns. So you won't have to worry about that too much. And then of course your SOS button, that's now active. So if you were in any kind of collision, that would help summon emergency services for you.
Oh, okay.
And then your Me button, that's your roadside service, the customer assistance center. So you would push this if you need police, fire, ambulance. And then SOS, think of it like a 911 button.
Oh.
Then up above we have your reading lights. Those are located under the mirror. That way they light up what you're looking at, not your face. The front overhead light button, the little jewel lights. Your rear overhead light button. Best thing about the rear lights is they're now on the sides, so they don't affect your rear vision quite as much as the old center mounted ones. And then this button, when it's lit up red, when you open the doors, it stays dark in the car. So if you don't like a lot of lights. Otherwise, if you leave that red light off, when you open the door, all of your interior lights, footwell lights, that would all come on automatically. Visors, I still like we do little clips on here. So that way, like insurance cards, photos, parking passes, lottery tickets. And then of course you have your mirror light. And then of course they are movable over to the side. There. Let's see, and of course, up and out. The glass does only open about 2/3. Because if it opened all the way, it'd be very windy inside the car. And then of course down is closed. Unfortunately, the lady, hey Mercedes, won't do the glass part because that could be considered a safety concern.
Oh, I was wondering about
Yes. One day maybe, but I think they're still worried about who would be responsible if they did something. But of course your shade. The best part about this roof is, of course, it's dark in the middle of winter. It's nice to have as much light as possible in the car. Also, this roof is quieter than the one without the roof. Because if you don't do this roof, it's just a solid roof. And when rain hits metal, it's much louder than when it hits the glass with the insulating materials. So, and it gives us a little bit more headroom as well to use this roof.
I see.
Now the car does have Eco Start Stop. You may have experienced that in one of the loaner cars. When you come to a stop, you may feel the engine turn off. As soon as you lift your foot off the brake, the engine turns back on. You're back up and running. If you don't like that feature, this little A with the circle around it, it's the auto restart button. When you push it, it turns off the Eco Start Stop. So when you come to a stop, you won't feel the engine turn off. But every time you start the car, it comes back on automatically. Saves the average driver about 15% on their fuel usage. So I do recommend trying to get used to it. But if you're like my friend Sandy, she turns it off every time because she does not like the feeling of it. But for me, it's the feeling of saving
So
money.
Yeah.
Almost like a hybrid, huh?
Kind of. I mean, and that's what I remind people. I mean, we're going there. We will be to electric cars eventually.
Yeah.
So if you don't like the feeling of it, start practicing now. So it's a way because it will. It's inevitable. It will happen.
Yeah.
But
It's a nice one.
Yep, and it's not bad for the car. And we use your spark plugs most
Oh
of the
yeah.
time.
I was wondering how the affect car stuff.
Definitely, I mean, because it only does it when the engine's warm. It remembers where it stops, so it's an easier restart. Very smart system that they designed. Now, there's also several display themes. Right now we're in what's called Classic, which gives us our blue look. But if I go over to Settings, System, Design and Display, We could change to the sport look, which gives us a yellow, sporty look. There's also red, which is progressive, which is a red digital look. Most end up back on classic just because it's what we're most familiar with. I also think it's the most 3D looking. But of course, if you have a color preference, you can always switch between them. You think you have a preference for starting?
Classic.
Most end up back here. It's just very familiar for us. And of course, like I said, that background on the instrument cluster looks really 3D in the classic display. We'll get out of there. Otherwise, now I know we had talked about getting the app downloaded for your phone when we were here last. Did we want to set that up on your phone now?
Yeah, might as well.
Yep, so we'll go ahead and we'll go into your app store. I'm going to power this off just for now. And then we're going to search. Search is at the bottom. And then the search bar is at the top. And once you get MERC in, we should see Mercedes Me Connect.
Oh, yeah.
There she is. And then, of course, it's our second one down, unless you... So, oh, that one right there.
Oh, sorry.
And then and then go ahead and install. And then it just needs your Apple ID password to get that downloaded. From there. But it's nice to be a little different sometimes. We'll go ahead and skip up here. Long story short, they remodeled the app, and so it helps people transition, but you don't remember what the old app looks like, so why bother showing you what changed? Your Me ID is going to be your phone number starting with a 1. And then the app does use some data to give you information, so we have to say okay there. And then notifications are like if the battery's low, the doors are unlocked, you would get good notifications. So we'll go ahead and hop out. That way we can test these features. So we'll go ahead and hop out of the car.
Oh, no.
Takes a little
Hard
while for
enough.
the seals to break in a little bit.
If the key is left there, would it close?
It will, because as long as you have one outside, it will let you lock a key in the car.
Okay.
But first thing we're going to test is your lock status button. Go ahead and do a tap there. And then go ahead and slide over to lock. And usually within a couple seconds, the car will be locked and mirror's already tucked in.
Yeah.
Second thing we're going to test, go ahead and X out up there, is your engine button. And then go ahead and close. Then we're going to tap on start, and then it's going to have you create a PIN. So just as an extra step of security, so we're going to tap on create PIN, and then it's going to ask for 4 digits. And then we'll save, and then we'll do okay, and then we'll do start one more time. It's going to ask for that new PIN. And then would you like to use your Face ID next time, or would you rather keep using the PIN?
Probably the pin, because with the mask, it's not going to recognize.
So we'll go ahead and say no. And then go ahead and dismiss. So now your phone is talking to Mercedes. Mercedes talks to the car. The car tells Mercedes, I'm okay. And then Mercedes tells the car to go ahead and start. But it'll run for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, it turns off automatically. When you unlock the car, it turns off automatically as well. So think of this as a climate control feature. It's not replacing your key. You would still have to use your key to drive the car. So great way to warm it up or cool it down. And it technically works anywhere in the United States as long as you have cell service. So if you're at Mount Rainier, underground parking garage, probably not going to work. But definitely a neat system. And of course, when you initially start, it is a little bit louder because it's trying to warm up. But here in a couple seconds, we're going to hear it kind of calm down. The initial 30 seconds, it is a little bit louder. And then it will settle down a little bit. But it is the newer direct injection systems. And so it's just the high pressure fuel. But we can already hear it kind of calming down. But I'll unlock this. We'll get a message that let us know that it changed because we unlocked the car. And then we're going to go ahead and exit at the top. The other thing you might end up using is your nav arrow right down here. Go ahead and tap there. And then the middle one says allow while using. So that's when we want to tap on. So on a map, it's going to show us the car. So when it's a black pinpoint like this, the car is off or parked. So it's showing us exactly where we are. If the car were running, it would be a red arrow. So that way you know if it's moving or running or something like that. But definitely a neat thing if you lose it in like a mall parking lot or something like that, it will definitely help us find the car. But your most useful is going to be under home. And that's where our lock unlock, remote start, vehicle status, like if you wanted to see if the windows were closed or open, you can see that status there. Thankfully, if something's out of place, you would have a notification down here saying windows open, car unlocked, or something like that. You can see your tire pressures from here, when service is going to be due from here, all kinds of ways to interact with the car. Also, if you forget what the car looks like, you have a few different angles. Can't imagine you're going to forget what your car looks like, but you never know. Especially when you get a new car. I mean, you might not recognize it first, but it is nice, and it's specific to your car too. So even the wheels are your exact wheels. So it's not like a stock photo.
Oh.
It's specifically your car with the roof, with the styling. It's exactly yours. But,
Wow.
keep your phone up to date, and you should have a pretty good experience with it. They do updates almost every 2 weeks to keep making it better and better. And it's finally a good rated app. Our old app was like a 2-star on a good day. Now it's almost a 5-star. So
Can you do that on my phone too?
you can have it logged in your phone. You're just going to type in the email,
Same
the
email.
6-digit code, and then it's
Okay.
going to let you log in. So
Cool.
that way you can have it on multiple devices. But,
Question: when you're warming it up remotely, would it is there a way that you can defrost the
So
windshield?
it won't necessarily turn on the defrost,
Oh.
but as long as you use your auto climate to set to like 72,
Yeah.
if it was
Okay,
cold
that'll
out,
do it. Yeah.
it should, I mean, in 10 minutes, it should clear, or at least get it cleared enough to when you turn on your defroster, it would go really fast.
Because that's what's taking your time on when you get off in the morning and it's all
Yes.
frosty. But
Yeah.
that should clear your
Yeah, as long as you do,
windshield.
because what's nice is maybe you're not going to go out to the car in 10 minutes. At 10 minutes of warming up, by the time you get out there, unless it's like an hour later, even if you didn't come out for 20 minutes, there's still going to be some heat left in that engine. So that way it would defrost pretty quickly. But definitely a neat way, and it's included for 3 years. After 3 years, it would become a subscription base.
How much?
We're guessing around 200 a year, so not crazy.
Yeah.
But some people don't use it, and they're like, I would never waste my money on that. But to each their own. But definitely neat. But
Is it 3 years?
so it's included for 3 years. So I think they chose to do it because a lot of people lease, and 3-year leases is pretty common. So I think that's why they chose the 3. But thankfully it's a good trial. I know some brands do trials and it's for like 6 months, and that's not enough time to really know if you're going to like a feature like that.
Oh.
But otherwise, so final 2 questions. Would you like to take a picture with the car today?
Oh,
Some could care less,
sure.
some love to.
Yeah.
You want to see the hood or no?
Did you want to look
Oh
under
yeah.
the...
Maybe I just want to see the verify where's that battery at.
Yes. So the hood release is in the same spot as the ML, up and underneath the dash.
Up underneath. Okay.
The red lever that pulls down, and then in the center there's a little switch you're gonna slide. So down and slide.
Yellow. Oh.
Of course, it's pneumatic held, but battery is in here. Of course, you have your, your cover, so positive and ground.
Ground right there. Okay.
But, and then of course, little things you'll notice, your wiper has 2 connections, allows it to swoop and clear more of the windshield. And then of course you have your washer fluid cap here, oil, coolant. All of it is checked electronically though, so if anything were to go low, a message will pop up in the car as well as in your app. So there should be no surprises for you.
So the battery shouldn't go dead on us when we go to Philippines for 1 month.
One month you shouldn't have problems with, but
Because on the ML it went dead and I couldn't find the battery. It was under the seat.
passenger front seat.
And I was trying to charge it. How long the hell you could charge it?
Yeah.
So I had to
Thankfully, on a
bring
new
it
car,
in.
1 month shouldn't be too much of a problem. Worst case, what I would say is maybe when you're leaving it, maybe remote start it while you're gone.
Yeah,
Because you can do it
that's-
2 times before you actually have to come out to the car. So if you were going to have gone for a month, maybe like at the 2-week mark, do the remote start. That way it can run for 10 minutes, hopefully charge the battery up
Yeah.
a little bit. So that way you would be even less likely to come home to a dead battery.
It's a good system.
It's neat, and it does typically work in most foreign countries. It just depends on how you're connecting to the internet. Because I know sometimes people's Wi-Fi is very private, and that can prevent it from working really well. And then when we close, it is all metal latch, so we want to make good, firm close, and you won't hurt anything.
Can you show me how to? I got a tight garage, so I need to see what's in front of me when I roll in. Is there an option in there that you can see?
So when you get close, it'll automatically launch the camera for you.
Oh, okay. So smart.
It's a pretty neat thing.
Or A at least, nothing below.
Well, and I always joke with them because I'm like, you're an Asian, not
She's
a
excited to jump in.
Yes, I'm a C Caucasian, like C Caucasian, like we're joking about big Chinese. Smart.
And here's a future doctor.
Oh, yeah,
I would like to see you.
Yeah, she'll hire my husband as a nurse in
There
her
you
clinic.
go.
I was gonna give both of you a Starbucks. Starbucks. Thank you so much.
I
really
think
appreciate
you
it.
really will appreciate the car and all the features, and use your Apple CarPlay. Talk to her. If you get bored, just ask her a question.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a neat system. Definitely all the new technology for sure.
You'll love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really
You have my
appreciate
cell
it.
phone, so just
Yeah.
call or text me if you need anything else.
Okay.
So-
Thank you so
Yeah, of
much.
course.
You guys
Thank you
are
for
awesome.
listening to me.
Of course.
She just wanted to vent it out.
You
Call
guys
me
She's
anytime
good
and
to
you
go.
can vent.